Hi, this is Jack at Soho Launch. This video will be part 2 of the e-newsletter module series. And in this video I'm just going to go over how to set up the actual e-newsletter campaign. And this is what's going to get sent to your recipients. So first of all, I already saved some time by creating a page for the content of the newsletter. And I'll show you what that looks like real quick by going to the Pages area. And you'll see that I have this June newsletter page set up. And it's off menu. You don't have to have your e-newsletter page on the menu for it to work. But just very quickly I'll show you what I have in here, so I'll click Edit. And it's a pretty simple page with header and text content, and there's not a lot of styles, which we really recommend. So now that I have this page set up, I can actually add it to a newsletter and send it to my recipients. So to start with that, to start creating the campaign, I'll click this Create button under Email Newsletter. And when you create a campaign, it'll just take you through a series of steps. Right now it's 5 steps. And it just takes you through the steps for creating and building out the campaign and adding emails and all that. So we'll go through each step individually. And the first thing to do is to give the newsletter campaign a title. And this is just what shows up in the module. Nobody else will really see this. So I'm going to call this the June e-newsletter because it happens to be June this month. The second thing you want to do is choose the database table that contains the email addresses, and it's a drop down. And as you remember from part 1, I uploaded a CSV with my email addresses, and I just called it the e-news list, and that's the one I have highlighted right here. But just to go over this very quickly, as you remember from part 1, I also went over the cart customers table, and this table contains all the email addresses of your cart users. So you'd also be able to use that table, or the administrative login users table, or the secure users login table. So we also allow you to use those 3 system tables as your email list. But for now I'm going to use my e-news list that I uploaded in the last video. And now I'll click Next. And step 2 asks you to choose the column in that table that has the email addresses. And it's already recognized that the email column should contain the email addresses, and that's correct. But occasionally you might have to use the drop down to tell it where all the email addresses are. So that's okay. And we also have an option to personalize each newsletter. I'm going to keep the default of no. But if you want to personalize it, it takes a little more work. You have to use a custom name variable in the page content itself. But for now I'm going to keep the no as not to personalize the e-newsletter. So now I'll click Next. And the from email address should be filled out already. The default is added with the Ultra installation, so that should be filled out. And I'm not going to change that. But you can change the subject line of the campaign, and this is what will show up in your users' inboxes in the subject line. And this June newsletter is already filled out as the subject. So I'll just keep that and click Next. And this last part is where you add your page content to a newsletter template. And first I'll select the template I want to use. And we have these newsletter templates set aside just for this module. And these templates are just really cut down and trimmed down to not have a lot of designs in CSS. Really, a lot of email clients don't accept incoming emails with a lot of designs and styles. And I'll use this calming orange template. And the next step is to select the page that has your newsletter content. And like I showed you in the beginning, I have this June e-newsletter page set aside. And I'll tell it to use the content from this page. So I'll select it. I'm going to click Next. The next step is just to choose what text to show in case the email client doesn't have HTML turned on. And it should just recognize the actual text from your page. You shouldn't have to do too much here because it'll already pull the text, as you can see. So I'm just going to leave that as it is and click Create Campaign. And then it says the campaign was created successfully, so I'll go back to the Campaign Manager. And now the campaign was not actually sent, it's just saved as a currently set up campaign and it's in the pending status. And when I'm ready to send it, I'll click the Send Now button. So I'll go ahead and do that now. What's nice about this is you can send a test email to yourself just to make sure everything gets sent and shows up okay before you actually send it to your whole list. I'm going to send a test one to myself. And I'll click OK. And it's sending that test campaign so I can view it on my email. And so now it's showed up in my email client. I'll bring it over here just to show you. You'll see that the newsletter was sent to my client successfully. And so now when I'm ready to send it, to the entire list, I'll click the Send Campaign button, and it says it was sent. So once you click that send, it gets sent to your entire list from that database table that I showed you. So everything should have gone through correctly at this point. So lastly, I wanted to show you real quick about the unsubscribe email feature. You can manually unsubscribe emails with this link right here in the actual module. On the email itself that gets sent to your recipients, there's also an unsubscribe link here at the bottom that they can use, and this will unsubscribe their email from receiving future campaigns. I also wanted to show you where that unsubscribe list is actually stored, and it's actually in a database table here. So I'll select database tables, and it's a system table, so you want to select the systems table tab, and it's all the way at the bottom since it's alphabetical, and it's this unsubscribe table here. And let's say somebody accidentally unsubscribed themselves, or they wanted to receive the newsletter again even though they had been unsubscribed before. You can actually go into this table and view it, and you can actually delete their entire record from this table. This would allow them to receive the newsletter again since they wouldn't be unsubscribed anymore. So thank you for watching this video, and I'll talk to you again next time.